All right. Are we ready? All right. Because we're about to talk about money here. Okay. We're gonna talk about money. Do you guys like money to begin with? If not, I can just. Do we like money? Okay. Okay. All right. How many people here would define themselves as a creative? Right. Good. Show of hands. Well, not so many. What are you guys doing here if you're not a creative? Right? Data has shown that actually year on year, there's been an increase in people starting to see themselves as creative people. What that tells me is it's no longer a bad job. In the past, it used to be you're very unserious. What are you doing with your life? Video? Yeah, right. But the numbers are starting to increase. And you can see from 2012 to 2016 that there is a very exponential growth in the people who are saying that by being a creative person, I'm actually living up to my potential, right? What does this tell us? Two things: passion. A lot of creative people, we get into this industry because we have passion, right? Good. Whether you sing, whether you dance, whether you act, whether you paint, whether you eat food on YouTube as mukbang, right? You do all of those things. You start this because you have passion, right? And what passion does for you is we always tend to believe that by doing something that you're passionate about, they tell you, oh, do what you're passionate about, and you never have to work a day in your life. That is an incomplete sentence, right? There are a lot of people who are very passionate but broke. We've all heard the words, the starving artist. This is what it feels like when someone thinks that you will make money from passion. You wake up in the morning and it's like, yeah, the money's just growing on the tree. Actually, the problem here is that when people try to make their passion profitable, the problem is that they confuse doing what they love with knowing how to sell it. And this is where my business mind starts to really come in now. So I'm taking my director hat off and I'm coming to the business one. Do you know how to sell what you do? If you know how to paint, can you sell that? Do you know what makes people want to buy your product, right? Um, Before I go into the metrics that I will talk about, first of all, a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people know who I am, and that's okay. But who am I to be talking about this? What credibility do I have? This is how I like to see myself. I am that guy. I'm just like sucking on the world and taking in information. Um, I'm a director, I'm a writer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a content strategist. I've served on the boards of companies in Canada, Nigeria, and the US as well, which failed, by the way. That was an extreme failure. I've worked with a number of creatives, helping them trying to consult from taking their passion into transforming that into a sustainable business. The point here, the keyword that I'm trying to say is sustainable, right? Let's make this long. Um, as a filmmaker, the core of what I like to do is I love movies that I enjoy. And whether that's on a narrative scale or a commercial scale, I choose the type of projects that I do because three things are very critical to me. One is emotion. I really love my film to have human connection. The second one is humor because, you know, we could all use a laugh in this world. We're all too serious. And the last one is I want something that is very authentic so that it's not just bougie and fake. Here are a couple of the projects that we've been lucky, I and the remaining guys at Limecut, we've been able to work on. This was the launch of the Adidas shoe with Adidas. We shot this in Beijing. This was Herman Miller. Um, and this was for a specific type of product that they were launching into the market. And the key word for this was we want to show the people, we want to show the product, and we want to show the place through an emotional lens. Also, this was Swatch. This was a mini documentary that we shot for one of the residency programs, just to sort of give an insight into what it feels like to be in there. And these are a couple films that we've made. There are a couple of them that they're still in production, so they're not on the screen right now. Occasionally, sometimes I'm a member of the Center for China and Globalization. And specifically in this one, I was a panel speaker to speak about how we can use content to breed bilateral relationships between two countries. So how do we make videos, pictures, TikToks, and everything to improve cultural relationship between two countries? Basically, who am I? I'm just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's the way I see myself. All right. How do we turn passion into creativity? It really comes down to three models, like I said before. Whether you work in the narrative space, commercial space, or any type of content that you make, it comes to three things, and you become like this guy. The first is brand equity. What is brand equity? I will expand on this different concepts as we go on very, very fast. Brand equity, strategic planning, and emotional maturity. Now, when you guys read the word on the screen, I want you to just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. A transparent bottle filled with brown liquid. What comes to mind? Coke, beer. Say again? Beer, food, poop. Wow. Okay. Let's think brand. When you think of like an actual brand, someone said Coke. That's a good one. What are the brands? Jack Daniels. Anything else? Dr. Pepper. Right. Okay. So that is brand equity when just taking strings of text and you can attach that to a brand. It means that that brand, at whatever point in your life, has worked for you. You've either paid money for it, you're emotionally attached to it, and you found value in that. So brand equity to a creative person is basically people know exactly what you do, they respect it, and they're willing to pay for it. It has to be those three things. If they're not willing to pay for it, good luck with that. If they don't respect you, yeah, right. So you need those three key fundamentals to make sure that you have good brand equity, right? The creative game is about optics. When you think of um, Steven Spielberg, for example, why do you think, oh my God, such a great director? It's about optics. There's really, yes, there's a body of work around that. That is the brand equity, right? But other than that, there's really nothing else that you measure why this guy's a great director of, right? Um, Perception creates leverage, which is what you want. All of this applies to the concept of making money from your creative endeavor. If you don't want to make money, none of this, like, it's all vibes, right? Um, by having a strong brand equity, it also helps you attract better clients to a point where you can choose who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with. You can choose your pricing model because at this point, people see you as the problem solver, right? Why is brand equity crucial for a creative person? Like I said before, the first one, people don't just buy the work, they buy you, right? They buy you. In this day and age where you have so much content on the World Wide Web, you need something that stands out and people buy that. I'm pretty sure that if we check the number of everyone here, over 60% of you are using an iPhone. True or false? Bring it out now. False? Yeah. Only one? Okay, let's check that. Anybody here use Android? Show of hands. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. See? Proves my point. Proves my point. Because we have a certain tendency to attach quality and an experience to Apple products. The second thing is it makes your passion sustainable if you don't create a framework where you're able to have checks and balances. You won't be doing this for a very long time. The third thing is that it compounds over time. For guys who are in finance, there is the concept of compounding interest, where you take tiny blocks of profit and you keep pulling them together. And over time, you're rich. So This is why it is crucial for you as a creator to think about brand equity. Now, who knows this guy? Ooh, right. Rick Rubin, known as one of the most interesting and prolific music geniuses in the world. I came across this interview that he did, and it just proves the points that people really just buy.
Do you play instruments?
Barely.
Do you know how to work a soundboard?
No. I have no technical ability, and I know nothing about music.
You must know something.
Well, I know what I like and what I don't like, and I'm decisive about what I like and what I don't like.
So what are you being paid for?
The confidence that I have in my taste and my ability to express what I feel has proven helpful for artists.
The confidence that I have in my taste. How many people can say that here and still get jobs? Imagine if we go for commercials and it's like, oh, we want something. I'm like, yeah, the confidence that I have in my taste. Brand equity. Rick Rubin is one of the most successful music revolutionaries of the 20th century, and he doesn't even know how to work a soundboard. Guys, that's like saying he's a chef that cannot cook. Brand equity here is really strong, and you can find examples of this all around the world. So, how do you build your brand equity as a creative person? One, show your face. People need to know who you are and share your process. It's not just about the fancy stuff. It's not just about the perfection of it. Share the failures, share the downfalls, share the happy days, share the not so happy days. By doing this, you make your brand a very relatable brand that people would like to associate with. The second thing is you have to be consistent. A lot of the problems that people have in this creative field is they're not consistent. One day, it's like, oh yeah, I feel like I want to make dance videos. The next week, you know what? I've seen Beyonce doing something on shoes. I want to make shoe review videos. The next day is I want to make fashion something, whatever it is. You have to be consistent, and consistency is in how you show up. Do it every day, especially when you don't feel like doing it, but also in the consistency of work that you put out, because people will associate the quality of your work with the quality of your brand. The next thing is deliver value. Don't waste people's time. That's why some of the jobs that we approach at Limecut, sometimes if we feel that we are not able to deliver value for the client, we pass it on because we don't want to waste our time, we don't want to waste their time, and we don't want to lose brand equity. Number four is protect your reputation. Um, I don't even know if I can say that. Alex, can I say that? The last film that you guys worked on, and no? No? Okay. He told me not to say it. He told me not to say it. We have to give the people what they want. No? Okay, let's just say be nice to the people that you work with. We were in a production, in our experience, when we work with Chinese crews, and we have a very core ethos is everybody we work with, we want them to walk away from our set feeling like they're a family member. So we work with Chinese guys, and I as the director, Alex as the producer, Nick as the DP, Tony as the DP, were shuffling, trying to like pick up balls. And the Chinese guys are usually like shocked because they're like, oh no, 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 like don't do that. And we're like, why? They're like, you're not supposed to do it. It's not your job. Like you're supposed to be like sitting there just like commanding us to do it. Like, well, we don't do that. You're human and we want to treat you the same way we would treat ourselves. They leave that production always asking, when do we come back? And that's the most important thing for us is you walk away from our set feeling like I was treated like a human being, my opinions were taken into account, and I feel respected. So in that way, you create that relationship with people, which ultimately transfers into the same thing with brands. Um, Today, Ari China is here, and that is a translation of how relationships was being built. So basically, these four things will put you in place. Okay. Now let's move to the one that most people don't like: strategic plan. A lot of people don't like to plan. It's just like let's just put it on vibes. The first one is define the value of what you do. If you don't know the value of what you bring to the table, then how can you properly sell it? How can you communicate that to the client? The value of myself as a director is that I bring a certain type of storytelling that is mixed with business experience. I don't just write you script on paper. I sit down with you first and we define business objectives and how does this video contribute to a bottom line. And if you go through all our crew members, there is a value proposition that we bring to everything. So if the value is not in your creation, whether you paint, why should someone buy your painting? If you sing, why should I pay ticket prices to come and hear you? Whatever it is that you do, what is the value? After you know what the value is, which goes now to the next thing, you need to package it. If you buy something on Taobao and it comes in like brown mashed rubbish boxes, I don't think you're going to be very impressed with that, right? There's actually a very amazing creative right now that I see in the audience. Shout out to Matt. Matt is a watch painter. He works with like watches and creates art on them. The first time I saw it, I didn't think he actually painted them. I thought they were actually like factory made, but he painted by hand, right? But what is impressive about the work that he does is when he finishes every piece of watch and he's sending it back to a client, it's clearly packed, well branded, that it increases the value of that watch. Now, a lot of these watches are vintage watches, they're old. Some of them might not even be working, but they're very artistic. And the way he packs them, it easily goes from like a 200 RMB watch to like a 15,000, 12,000 RMB watch, right? Because he knows how to package it clearly. So, huh? Yes, he's here. After you will get to meet with him after, right? So the value of packaging, the value that you have is the same principle when you go to a restaurant. You go to a restaurant, if the food is well served, you'll enjoy it. If it's not, you start to become very picky. The next thing is to build an audience. In the history of working with creatives and things like that, every single time that I get messages like this, I got this message from a very young 14, 15-year-old kid halfway across the world. He's in America. And he apparently watched one of my videos and he sent me this message. And every single time I get messages like this, it's still very unreal to me that I can I can get this kind of reply from people every single time. My point is there's no benefit in whatever it is that you have if people don't find you. If nobody knows you, then you don't have anything, right? So your passion is invincible if people don't see it. And the thing is, you don't need a huge following, right? My Instagram is probably the one where people follow me the most. I don't know why. My Twitter, which I don't use anymore since Elon Musk took over. And then my YouTube, which is probably like the most active one that I use a lot because I find that it's the easiest way to reach a very huge audience. You need to just find one of these platforms, work consistently on those platforms, and your ideal customer will find you. Once again, show your process, the insights of what you've learned, and the results. Okay. Next one, treat this like a business because it is a business. If you're trying to make money, it is a business. Your passion is not going to build pricing models. When someone comes to you, how much is it? And today you're like, oh yeah, it's 25 bucks. Tomorrow someone else comes to you, how much is it? And you're like, oh, I'm feeling bluey, it's 50 bucks. Now that is inconsistent. So you need to treat this as a business where you have there has to be a why behind everything. Why do you price this way? Why do you approach your clients this way? Why do you send an email this way? Why do you respond this way? Right? By doing that, you are able to expand the scope of what you do so that you set yourself up for like a long-term relay in this, right? So track your money. That money is going to come in, track it. Don't just like, you know, don't do it that way. Price for profit, not for survival. You know, a lot of times people are just like, oh yeah, I'm going to make you. That's actually one of the biggest problems in this industry is that we found as a production company, as creators, is there's always someone who's going to want to do it cheaper, and that kills the quality output of what most people can do. And I think for anyone who's in the film industry, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's commercial space, whether it's branding, marketing, whatever, the budgets are really coming down, and brands are now moving to giving TikTok influencers like a fraction of the budget that they would give to a production company to make a very compelling piece, right? Um, so price for profit. Don't undersell yourself and set goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals. If possible, you can start to give out tasks to other people and stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. The process of being a creator is a long game. It's not something that, if you want fast cash, go home. Go home. Don't even come here. This is long game. You have to play it. You have to stick to it. And that's the only way to make this profitable and sustainable. A lot of times, especially when I do consulting calls for people, it's like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel so I can monetize that channel. One of the first questions I ask them is, give me a plan for the content that you want to make for 6 months. After you've made that, then come back and let's talk about what your channel will be about. They usually never make it past the first week because why? Yeah, they see YouTube as, oh, the monetization. I'm just gonna get to 1,000 subscribers in 4,000 hours. It never works out that way. It never works out that way, right? So stick to the plan. Most people are going to quit before the results will come out. And the reality of it is, even for people here, well, I hope that you don't, but if we put everything to the test, some of you guys are going to quit before you start to see results, right? That is just the reality of it. I hope you don't, but that's the way this usually goes. Financial freedom doesn't happen fast. It happens consistently, and that's why you have to stick to the process, right? I mean, the thing is, how many of you can commit 2 to 3 years to building a creative career and hope that you don't make money? 3 years of not making money. That's tough, right? But once again, it's part of the process. So I want to show you guys some of the people that I've been able to work with in the past and how I've usually tried to help them from a creative to moving to a creator economy perspective. This is Tyrone. The first time I met this guy, he reached out to me on Instagram. Didn't speak a word of English. He's from the Netherlands, and now he runs a very successful production company in the Netherlands. And I was like, guys, what in some of the things that we work together, what would you like to say about
There are
that?
two things that I like to highlight about my best friend from China, which is he's capable of explaining very complex ideas and concepts really easily in a way where I'm capable of understanding them. So he's really good at communicating really complex ideas, which um, to follow that up with, he's also a very consistent individual. As a creator, as a business owner, he is someone who shows up and does what he has to do on a consistent basis. And not only that, but he also grows in it while he's doing it. And in my opinion, a very consistent individual is also a very reliable individual most of the time. And in this case, it fits. So those two aspects, in my opinion, are his best qualities as a creator, but also as a business owner.
Right, most of the time, not all of the time. Good job, Tyrone. But the interesting one is my friend Jordan. Jordan used to live in China, and at some point she moved back to the U.S. Got into a very horrible accident. Um, for about a year, she lost half of the mobility in her right side. Yeah. Right side. So she couldn't work, and that meant that she had to find a way to make a living for herself. And I started working with Jordan to help her on the creative journey. So she was taking her rehabilitation process and posting videos about that on YouTube, on Instagram at the time. And eventually she thought she would go into fitness and start doing coaching and all of these things. Um, Long story short, this lady has been able to build that channel to about 25,000 subscribers. That channel makes anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000 a month. And one day she calls me and she's like, I don't want to do it again. Let's start something else. And we start to build this channel called Blackbird Fly, which for whatever reason, she decides to pick up surfing. And I worked with her for about, I mean, I still work with her now, but we started this channel 4 months ago. And now she's anywhere between $500 to $700 a month. So
I started creating content on YouTube 4 years ago. But for the first 3 years, I used to struggle so much, mostly believing in myself and believing in the work that I was doing. But the other part was like not feeling like equipped enough with my storytelling or editing, just the more technical part. And he has helped me so much. Like we watch my videos every time when I publish them. Sometimes before I publish them, I want to hear I want to take notes from him. So I would show him and we would break it down from storytelling, music choice, camera angle, like just lots of details. And over time that has helped me to discover more and more of my own style. And that has been such a game changer. Now I can see the path of like turning this passion, my life, into this creative work, and just making it my own. And it's been just such a fun journey so far, and I just cannot wait to continue and work with him even more. I wish I was living where he was living so that I can get all these tips every single day being next to him.
yeah, right. You're not. The last one being something that is very abstract, but that a lot of creatives struggle with, emotions. Oftentimes, creatives tend to take their work very personal. If you are going to be making a career out of this, you need to take that away because it's never personal. So for some people, you make a film, you show it to someone, and the person goes, I don't like this scene. You get so, you don't get it. You're not artist. You're not an artist. You know, da 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 da. You move away to another person, whether it's a commercial side. And I used to struggle with that because I came from a narrative background. When I would make my very early days of commercial directing, would make a video, and in my head, I'm like, bam, go James, and then you give it to the client and they find something so ridiculous that I'm just like, what? That doesn't even do anything. But at the end of the day, they're paying the money for it. And ultimately, it's their product, it's not yours. So now the experience is if a client wants a zebra on a snow mountain singing Kumbaya, yeah, give it to them because they're paying for it. So you need to learn how to remove the emotions from that, especially being a creator for the internet. You will find a lot of terrible. I mean, I showed you guys good comments. You don't want to know the amount of terrible comments that I get. You really don't want to know. Some of you also create content here on Chinese socials, and you know how vile it can get on those platforms, right? You need to be able to take away the emotions. Don't take it personally, right? When someone critiques your work, whether it's criticism, whether it's feedback or whatever, don't be afraid of that. Also, just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. No one will tell the story that you will tell in your own way, right? In the world of YouTube, where there's like so many things coming out, a lot of people are going to make the same content, but in different ways. Your audience will come to you because it's uniquely you and no one else's. So burning out, which is the second part, everyone has probably experienced that at some point, right? Emotionally, you can burn out from the work if you do it alone, which is why the next step would be to find people that you can build a tribe around. And by doing that, you sort of set yourself up for the long term because this can get pretty harsh really fast. Um, when does your passion become profitable? And this was a question that someone asked me. When did you know that your passion could become something profitable? Or when did you know that you wanted to do this for the rest of your life? I think for me, it was when I shot my friend's wedding. It was during COVID. And he's, it's a Russian couple, Russian Kenyan couple, my bad. The husband is Russian, the wife is Kenyan. Now, we know what they say about Russian men. I work with them a lot. So I'm not gonna zip it. They are like stone cold. They lack emotions. They're like super stoic and all of that. And I'm playing back this wedding film for the couple, and the wife in like 2 minutes, she's like, she's gone, and I'm just watching the husband like, okay, I want to see how he'll react to this. This dude is probably like what 170, 80 pound Russian stoic man, and 5 minutes into the film he's just like going. He's just going. He's just going. And for me, I was like, no way. I made a grown ass man cry. Um, and one interesting thing that happened in the film was his grandpa spoke to him via Zoom call because it was a Zoom wedding. That was the last time he spoke to his grandpa. His grandpa died 5 days after we filmed that whole thing. So every time he watches that film, he always texts me and is like, man, thank you for capturing that moment for me. The reason why I make film is not necessarily because of money. I mean, I do want money, but the reason is because I want my films to be a time capsule. So I want people 100 years from now to come back in time and watch my film and feel exactly what people felt in that time and space. That's why I make films. So you as a creator as well, you need to find why you make films, and ultimately you will start to realize um, when that becomes a profit. Well, to be honest, the first time that I ever felt I could make this into a job was the first time someone paid me to edit a film. And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I did it, they posted it, and I got a bank transaction. I was like, oh, what? You can get paid for this? That was when I knew that I could get paid for this. Um, so overall, I do want to share a couple examples of practical people that, irrespective of whether you start in film production or you're making content for TikToks, the model remains the same. This guys, I don't know if you guys know them. Does anybody know them here? Yeah? Good. Dima knows them. I call them the Raka Raka brothers. They used to be very famous on YouTube, but now they're one of the most sought after directors in Hollywood. You've probably seen this movie called Talk to Me, the one where with a hand you hold it and it's like, maybe you guys don't watch scary movies. Anyways, Danny and Michael Felipe started as YouTubers. They made a YouTube film that became very popular. And now they're going to be directing their second A24 feature film. I believe they're currently in production now. So the model remains the same: strategy, brand equity, and you achieve success. The same thing is Denis. You guys, you have to know Denis. Dune, right? He directed Dune. He's French Canadian, and he used to make short films in Quebec, which is not necessarily one of the most Hollywoodish places in Canada. And that sort of helped him develop a brand because a lot of people knew him more till he started making his way into Hollywood slowly, slowly. He got a couple budgets here and there. And the way he directed Dune was someone actually asked him, what is a movie that you would want to make? And he said Dune. And that was how he got his agent pitched him for that role, which he eventually got and everything. And I think he made one of the most amazing films of 2024. You can see all the movies he's worked on. So his story is also very similar to those models. You have a strategy, you build your brand equity, which ultimately translates into success. I want to play you guys a video from one of my friends, Patrick Tomaso. You guys might probably not know him, but I think this is very crucial to understand that irrespective of what you make, if you apply these principles, you will have a success.
It's always driven me nuts that people love to use YouTuber as an insult. A24's Bring Her Back, which is in theaters right now, was directed by Danny and Michael Filippo, who many of you might remember as Raka Raka on YouTube. This is their second critically acclaimed studio release after spending nearly a decade posting videos on the internet. And they're not the only ones. Chris Stuckman, who's a legend in the YouTube movie review space, has Shelby Oaks coming out later this fall. And six-time Palme d'Or Cannes-winning studio Neon is releasing Together, directed by Michael Shanks. This movie's got Dave Franco and Alison Brie, and it looks incredible. And guess where Michael Shanks got his start? On YouTube, as Tim Fed. So even though some people don't take YouTubers or content creators seriously, studios are, which is why you should never feel discouraged if you're a maker for the internet. Whether you make sketches, TikToks, food reviews, movie reviews, whatever it is, you're not only building an audience, you are building a career. The most exciting voices in filmmaking and the future of the industry is not coming out of film school, it's coming from the homepage.
I like how he just like made it very dramatic. It's coming from the homepage. You know. So this is the reality of the modern day industry. You as a content creator can move from like 0 to 1,000, but you need to have brand equity, you need a good strategy, and you will ultimately be able to manage your emotions. Now, I do want to leave you guys with some of the realities of being a creative person that I'm trying to tell you here that it's highs and lows. And I think that if you understand the lows, it helps you. If you understand the lows, it helps you prepare for the days so that you come to the highs. The first thing that nobody tells you about a creative career is this: success often comes slower than you think. It's not a straight line. True or false? Your creative highs won't last, and that is normal. True or false? No one will promote your work as much as you will. True or false? Some jobs that look great online will feel very awful to make. True or false? You can be booked solid, like the whole 6 months, a whole quarter, and still feel very stuck. Being talented, and I like to say this a lot, people think it's about talent. It's not only about that. Having talent is not enough. It doesn't mean that people will find you. The truth is, nobody's really special. For every one idea that you have, there's probably somewhere else in another country who's made that idea or who's making something, right? There is no unique idea in terms of creativity. Original, not unique. Original idea. The next thing is the quiet seasons are the times that you have to start building. That's when you work on yourself. You create your branding strategy. You write up if you're an actress, maybe you take headshots. That's if you're not working, maybe you start to take workshops, you do classes, like the one Peter is going to be delivering very soon. Where's Peter? All right, Peter's there. Most clients won't understand your process and don't expect them to. If you are in commercial filmmaking, unless your client is like a film or very creative person, I don't think that they would truly understand you because they don't think that way. They think in business terms, right? And it's okay. It's okay. Um, the next one is that your reputation will travel faster than your portfolio. That is so true, right? If you're a terrible person to work with, that's the first thing people will know about you. And if you're a great person to work with, that's the first thing they'll know about you. Most of the jobs that we get or that we give out in this industry is 95% based on relationships. And that's the way industry standard works. You know a gaffer, good. I'm not going to take a risk on someone else, even if they're way more creative, because the people that I've worked with, I will keep working with them. So build a very good reputation for yourself. The next one is you will outgrow some people, and that's okay, right? You're not going to keep working with the same people for the rest of your lives. People's dreams, their aspirations will change, and that's that. Big breaks don't feel big when they happen. I remember the first time that I got the call for the Adidas one to come, and honestly, it was like, yeah. It was after I. I'm gonna be real with you guys. Even till now, it's still man, right? Because it just does. Maybe I'm waiting for like Sony to call me as like, We'll give you like $50 billion to make something, then maybe I'll feel it. But sometimes big breaks don't usually feel like that. Just know that's the reality of it. The next one, self-doubt. It never goes away. You will always doubt the work that you do. You will always feel that. You just learn to work with it, right? Imposter syndrome doesn't help you, but it never goes away. You have to be the master of yourself and your emotional space to be able to control how you work with that. The next one is being easy to work with will take you further than being brilliant, like that. Money won't make you feel creatively fulfilled. In the words of one of my great friends, Nathan, he said, a lack of a budget forces you to be very creative. The less you have, the more your brain starts to think. And that's the beauty of having short films made with friends and all of these things. There's no budget, and you still have to figure out ways to make them work. When you do a very tough one, you question everything. God, what am I doing with my life? What is this? You question it. Just roll with the punches again. And that's why those three things are extremely important, where you regulate the way you feel emotionally. Burnout often shows up after the work is done. That's okay. Learn to manage that. Growth usually looks like failure in the moment. I've made terrible films. I've been rejected from festivals. I've made movies that I watched back and I was like, what are you thinking, boy? And I learn from that and I move on. It means that now I don't get to do that anymore. And you won't always feel inspired to work, but you have to finish the project. You have to finish. You have to finish the project. So if I was going to summarize all of this thing, I'll put it into these three things. One, smile like that. The next one, brush your teeth and walk like you're very expensive. Because at the end of the day, that's how you make money. Thank you guys.